So, as I keep learning more and more about these AI services that are either free or have to have a subscription, especially if you want the benefits that come with it, like get what you pay for, whether it's a one time deal, monthly deal, whatever. The one thing that I'm constantly learning about them is if you really want something to, be focused on and you really want it to be, stood out in the story. Basically, what you need to do is you really have to emphasize what you want. Now, what that means basically when it comes to AI, and I'm sure a lot of you may know this, is when you describe something you want in the prompt, you could leave it at that and see what you get. But if you really want it to basically come to be as best as it can, then what you need to do is use the parentheses to emphasize. So let's say, for example, you animate two scenes through SFM, CGI. You animate, or not animate, but you kind of bring to life, draw, animate, whatever you want to call it, two scenes that you want to kind of seemingly flow together, but they're like on separate panels. If you were to use Luma AI Dream Machine, then what you could do is you could tell them, animate this scene where such and such happens with such and such, and then in parentheses you can repeat that. So it can understand that you want, that you are emphasizing that that's what you want. You want that scene, you want that moment to, be focused on, to happen in the way you want. And the same goes for even something like Sudowrite. You can basically have it write a certain story, whether it's a certain story that's a little kinky and a little NFSW, if you will, and just leave it at that. Or you could have it write that story and then take what you want to see in there and emphasize through parentheses what you want, how you want the story to be presented. And at most times you may or may not get what you're asking for. But that is one big learning thing here when it comes to these kind of, AI sites. And even the same goes for Bing and its Copilot, Gemini and Google, ChatGPT, you name it. What you need to do to really emphasize the fact that this is what you want is you got to go and you got to put what you want to emphasize, scene-wise or moment-wise or whatever, you got to emphasize it by using the parentheses. I know that sounds kind of strange because when you think of using a parentheses, in any kind of description or any kind of, dialogue, you mostly think about using them when you are saying something, but then you want to say something in between. Like, when I was talking about AEW and Ricochet being in that company, I stated that, AEW, needs to stay in business. But I said in parentheses, God forbid anything was to happen, to the company, which I hope it doesn't, or some to an extent. Because I said something before that, and in between I wanted to say something to kind of get the point across. And that's what, the parenthesis was meant for. And that's what we usually think of, adding something in between to kind of like add to what we're originally saying, but people would get the message, as to what we're trying to describe and talk about. And the same goes, I guess, with AI. But it's not just one parenthesis on each side that you use. No. Instead, you could use multitude of parentheses. You could use a multitude of them to the point that the more parentheses, that are used, according to someone like Mobians.ai, the more parentheses you used, the more emphasis you'll get on what you want. And believe me, I tried it many times, on Mobians.ai. I tried it many times, and believe me, the more you emphasize something, the more you get it, probably more so than you expect. But anyway, that is one big learning, one big learning directive, if you will. I'm trying to find the right words to say. that if you want to utilize AI for either future projects or just for fun, but you really want whatever you're putting in the prompts to be focused on, then you need to go the parentheses route. And I do apologize for that notification there, the notification vibration. I do apologize. But anyway, like I said, if you want to go and get what you put into the prompts really, focused on and really made into what you describe, then you're going to have to repeat or at least add on in parentheses how you want it done. Now, will some of these give you kind of what you want? Not exactly, because, again, some of them, are still learning. I know the Luma AI Dream Machine is still learning because I'm trying to get it to do a certain scene from a webcomic or webcomic strip, and it's thinking, it goes against our policies, and it doesn't. The scene's completely clean. Nothing goes against it. So it's still learning to kind of tell the difference between what's appropriate, what's riding the edge, if you will, but still okay, and what's not. It's still learning that. The same with Sudowrite, the same with ChatGPT, Bing, you name it. They're all still learning. And as I've said before, that's what we, as the consumers, have to understand. Yes, AI is going to be the future down the line, but it's still evolving. It's still imperfected. As it is right now. Some AIs are getting there a lot sooner, probably are already there, but those are mostly like the major Hollywood studios and stuff in Silicon Valley. But when it comes to things like Dream Machine, Luma AI, and Sudowrite and all that, they're still evolving and they're still imperfect. But over time they'll get there, and I guarantee you when that day comes, we as consumers, we as people that like to use them either for projects or just for fun are going to be very appreciative of that moment when they finally, understand what we want from them, right down to a T. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Comment down below. Love to hear what you have to say on all this. Like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my Teespring store. Description is in this link, I should say, is in the description box. Sorry about that. Link is in the description box. You can help me out there by purchasing a mug or a T-shirt, whatever fits your fancy. It would help me out tremendously to build this channel along the way. And also check out where you can find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube. Also check those links to Odyssey and Rumble and VENMO are all there. Also check out my Venmo and my Cash App as well. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are, and until then, I am out.